Hello, grade 9s. We're going to do a quick little lesson here on newspaper articles and newspaper writing. So let's get started. First, we are going to take a look at what your graphic organizer looks like. So we have this here, and it is to sort out your ideas for your newspaper article that you're going to be writing for On the Sidewalk Bleeding. So the title of the article, that's your title. There's things that are always in a newspaper article, and those are who, what, when, where, why, and how. These things are always in a newspaper article. Then, what happened first? Next, this happened. Then this happened. Finally, and then your conclusion. So these are all things that are included in a newspaper article. And basically, once you fill this out, after you read the story, you'll be able to take your point form notes and turn them into sentences in order to get format for the newspaper article. So let's take a look at a newspaper article I found on Newsela. So here's the title. During Fat Bear Week, guess which bear is the biggest? Well, there is our title. So I'm going to have this so that you can type into it, this graphic organizer here. Okay, so let's read a little bit and see what we got. So in the winter, bears spend all their time resting. This is called hibernation. They can't eat during this time, so they need to be ready. Need to get ready. In the summer and fall, they gain a lot of weight. Getting fatter helps them get through the winter without food. Some brown bears in Alaska gain more weight than others. They put on hundreds of pounds in just a few months. The park where these bears live lets people guess which one is fattest. It is called Fat Bear Week. Time to eat. There are more than 2,000 brown bears at the Katmai National Park in Alaska. About 80 of them live near Brooks River. The river is full of salmon, their favorite treat. They can eat as much as they can from June until October. Sometimes they gain 4 pounds in one day. Younger bears that are still growing can more than twice their size. Oh, younger bears that are still growing can more. I don't know what that's a typo or something. These brown bears need to eat so much in the summer and fall because in the winter they do not eat or drink. This is called fasting. The extra food also helps the bears get through the early springtime. After hibernation, they can sometimes only find grasses and plants to eat. The bears near Brooks River get fatter than other bears in the Katmai National Park because there are so many salmon in the river. Some bears eat 40 salmon each day. Since the bears do not have to walk around looking for food, they do not burn many calories during this time. That means almost every bit of salmon goes right to their body weight, helping them get through months of hibernation. All of this fishing is also very good for the other animals in the park. The bears leave fish bones and small pieces of fish along the banks of the river for birds and smaller bears to eat. How to weigh a bear. Bears can't step on a scale to be weighed. Instead, park rangers use lasers. Lasers are devices that produce very narrow beams of light. Those beams of light, like all light, travel in waves, but unlike natural light, all of a laser's light waves have very similar wavelengths. This is what makes them so bright and so specific. In 2020, park rangers at the Katmai National Park pointed lasers at the bears to get a more specific sense of their size. The lasers bounced off the bodies of the bears while they fished for salmon. This action gave the rangers information that led them guess the amount of space each bear takes up, or its volume. With this information, they can guess the weight of each bear. So far this year, one named Chunk seemed to be the biggest. Chunk was big even before he started to gorge on salmon, but Another one named Walker is also very big. It is not clear which one will win the 2020 Fat Bear Week contest. Bigger is better. Guessing the fattest bear is fun, but the size of these bears is also important for science. Watching these bears eat so much salmon helps scientists better understand how they prepare for hibernation and how bears' location, like if they live near a river, can affect their health and behavior. And every pound one of these bears gains is proof that the river is healthy, and so are the bears, according to the park rangers. You can see pictures of all the bears near Brooks River in the Katmai National Park website. That's also where people can vote on which then they think is the biggest. The contest runs until October 6th. Okay, now let's go back to our graphic organizer. Just going to scroll up here so we can gather some information. So who, let's say, fat bears and park rangers. What is happening in this article? Bears are gorging on salmon before hibernation. When? Oops. Go back. There we go. Let's see here. When does it say? June until October. Right there. Perfect. Where? They kept mentioning this Katmai National Park, so well, why did they write this article? Well, because bears are gorging on salmon and rangers are weighing them with lasers. Laser beams. Okay, let's check out how. Rangers determine the volume of a bear using lasers. So first thing they talked about in the article, let's go look. They talk about hibernation, and then they talk about Katmai National Park in Alaska, and the Brooks River. So they talk about Katmai National Park, Brooks River, Alaska, and hibernation. Next, they talk about the bears themselves and how much they eat, and more about hibernation. How many bears in the park, and more about hibernation. Then they talk about how they use lasers to measure a bear's volume, which is how much space they take up, to give them an idea about how much it weighs. Finally, they talk about how the bears gaining weight is a good indication of a healthy river system and park. In conclusion, well, bears need to eat a lot of fish. To gain weight for hibernation. So, let's just quickly going over, looking at that article. So if you were to take all of this stuff that we have here, the who, what, when, where, why, maybe we'll add Alaska here, how, and then we have our first, next, then, finally, conclusion. You have the beginning of a newspaper article. So what I want you to do is take this blank newspaper article graphic organizer, and I want you to go through the text of On the Sidewalk Bleeding and fill out all of this information. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to pause the video for a second. So what I want you to do is read through On the Sidewalk Bleeding, and I want you to fill out all the stuff. You're going to have to come up with a creative title. Fill out all of these, the who, what, when, where, why, how, first, next, then, finally, conclusion. So with that, I want you to, fill it out. Make sure to use quotes from the story to back up your points. You can have testimonials from characters in the story, like the drunk or the couple that come into the alleyway, both of which have interactions with Andy in the story. Angela can also be used for a testimonial, or the police officer. A testimonial is like you ask them a question, like, what did you have to say about the kid lying in the alleyway on the sidewalk? And then you can just respond by saying, a local drunk ran into him and had this to say. So once you're done filling out the graphic organizer for a newspaper article, I want you to write your own newspaper article about Andy being found in the alleyway, laying on the sidewalk. So you can write it, from the perspective of the neighborhood is turning not safe, or you can look at it from a gang violence perspective and talk about the growing number of cases of gang violence that are happening. You can write it from any perspective you like, or you can just write it from the perspective of a nosy news reporter that's going to go and take a look at, why did this kid get stabbed and left in the alleyway? Why did no one help him? So whatever you want to write your article on, or from whatever perspective, as long as it relates back to the story, that's good. I hope this lesson is sufficient for you. If you need help, you can always read a couple news articles, shorter ones that will give you an idea more along the lines of how a newspaper article is written. If you have any questions, shoot me a message on Edsby or Teams, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. For now, Mr. Perrin, signing off.